The Zambian copper mines were privatized and sold to foreign investors in 2000.
It is fair to say that of all the frauds that occurred in Zambia during President Chiluba's time, the privatization of ZCCM was one of the most significant.
The privatization process has never been officially investigated for corruption, but the president at the time, Frederick Chiluba, was sued by the Zambian state for misappropriation of funds in the London High Court in 2007. Michael Sullivan represented Zambia in the case against Chiluba.
President Chiluba was found liable in damages to the Republic of Zambia in the sum of $46 million for conspiracy to defraud the Republic and for breach of fiduciary duty. A very living example concerns the purchase of extravagant shoes and suits from, in particular, one named Boutique Basile in Geneva. There was spent over $1.1 million, and the clothes which were purchased were found during the investigation into state corruption. I've seen them myself. There were 11 trunks. I mean, I have the list of what was found in the trunks, and you have 206 designer suits, 185 shirts, 36 jackets, 157 trousers, and 64 pairs of shoes, and 74 ties. Now, all these ties were designer ties, mainly coming from Switzerland and Italy. So there you have a graphic example of the nature and extent of the corruption.
ZCCM was sold for a total of $627 million. Last year alone, the mines produced copper worth more than $6 billion. President Chiluba died in 2011. Francis Kaunda, who headed the negotiations, still lives in Zambia. In 2008, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison for corruption relating to the privatization of ZCCM. For half a year, I tried to get an interview.
So you would want a payment for the interview?
Yes, I would charge for it.
When I declined to pay, our communication ended.
Forget it.
I just want you to have the opportunity because we talked.
Forget it. You don't. What opportunity?
Can I please say something?
Sorry.
I would just.
Forget it.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Any right-thinking Zambian, anybody could see that what was being agreed was not transparent. Information is very important, and knowledge based on information is very important. The state, represented by very bribed, ignorant politicians at the very top, could not legitimately act as negotiators for Zambia.
From the outset, the investors had the upper hand in the sales negotiations. Copper prices had hit rock bottom and the state was running out of money. Its debt to the World Bank and the IMF was so large they could not get new loans. Zambia had its back against the wall and was forced to sell.
The executive board were more and more nervous about that, so the board let me with no initiative but to get the money back and not to extend more credit to that country if we are not repaid or if we don't invent a scheme to be repaid.
The mines was the last great resource that the state held, and the bank and fund were very keen for the mines to be privatized. And so they made it a condition of a series of loans to Zambia and a series of debt relief initiatives that the mines be privatized.
Hello once again and welcome to Privatization. Government appears to be committed.
We will ensure as government that not only do we keep the promises, but we work as responsibly as possible to ensure that we succeed.
So the IMF acted as effectively a gatekeeper to all donors, both the bank the fund and all bilateral donors.
We were basically under the instructions of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund.
The IMF itself has never imposed a privatization, possibly in some very limited cases, but not in the case of Zambia. But what occurred frequently is that governments have said to their public opinion, we are privatizing because the World Bank and the IMF tell us that if we don't do that, they will not finance us. But it is not correct, or it is only partially correct. But it's part of the rhetoric. It's part of for the governments of, let's say, saving their face.
Effectively, Zambia made a decision that the country was in such a desperate situation with its very high debt that it should do anything it could to please the foreigners. Anything you need to do to keep the donors engaged and to an extent to attract investors should be done.
These were very, very painful moments because we were not given the opportunity to get the correct value of our assets.
If you want to have foreign investors, well,